I go by what I'm seeing right now. The defense is balling out. The O-line's playing well. Kamara found the fountain of youth. Derek Carr looks incredible. They have been that good.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday, presented, of course, by DraftKings. We're actually recording this on a Monday night because I won't be able to go to bed for about an hour after that game anyway. So I texted Jack and said, let's just record the Power Rankings Tuesday tonight because after a game like that, I'm amped up. What a crushing loss for the Eagles and a gigantic win for the Falcons. Congrats to the Falcons and Raheem Morris and Kirk Cousins. Just a resilient, impressive win for Atlanta on the road in a very, very tough environment. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday, which I love almost as much as those of you that spread the word in any way via social media, either at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod. I want to send those of you that want signed merch or signed whatever, I want to send it to you. Sponsor confirmation email winner. You guys know I love all of our sponsors, especially using the code Ross at Future Fans or westshorehome.com/Ross. YouTube shout out's cool. I get to do a video for you. YouTube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Speaking of shout outs, Mike Strez, Sam Legarata, Juan Diaz, welcome to the patreon.com/RT Media family. Glad to have you guys aboard. Even if you're just there for the even money betting spreadsheet, please engage on the private Slack channel with fellow Tuckheads. They are awesome. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross, the Falcons, they capitalized on some questionable decisions late from the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat them on the road 22-21.
What a game. I mean, I forget what Joe Buck said. I think it was like 7 lead changes. The game went back and forth. You know, just some things that jumped out to me. I thought both offensive lines played very well. I had them before the year, both of them as top 5 offensive lines, and they showed that. The Falcons certainly did not show that last week, I should say, against the Steelers, but especially run blocking with that outside zone scheme. Man, I honestly thought both teams, but the Falcons in particular, I would have run the ball every play if I were the Falcons. Every play. They were having that kind of success. I'm a big fan of Chris Lindstrom, but he got beat pretty bad by Milton Williams and Jalen Carter. I don't know if I'm going to put him as the first team All-Pro right guard, getting beat clean like he did. Eagles' run defense was concerning. I thought there were a lot of interesting decisions made in this game, right? Like Saquon Barkley, okay? Super explosive on, I think it was the Eagles' second drive. And then they get down near the goal line and they take him out and they run Kenny Gainwell for 2 plays. Then they throw it for 2 plays when Saquon comes back out there. I did not love the Eagles' decision to go for it on 4th and 4 there. And that's not hindsight. I just think having a lead is important. Getting the first score is important. I would have kicked the field goal at that point. I didn't really agree with that. I did think that a major positive for the Eagles was Jalen Hurts' legs. I mean, that first touchdown, when they went up 7-3 on the touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, that drive was mainly about Jalen Hurts' legs. You know, the Falcons' offensive line, for the most part, was dominating both the run and the pass. I thought they controlled the game. And really, the Eagles are fortunate that they kept holding the Falcons to field goals when the Falcons would have these long drives that would bog down in the red zone. You know, I would have liked to have seen even more Saquon and Jalen runs. Jalen Hurts runs in the red zone. The Eagles realized that they weren't able to get home with the pass rush. They brought a blitz finally, and Cousins put a beautiful throw to Darnell Mooney. He goes and scores to take the lead. Then obviously Hurts' legs and tush push, a major factor. Gardner Johnson made an insane stop on 4th and 1. You thought, okay, the Eagles have this game. But they didn't. They actually got a couple first downs. Looked like they were going to run the clock out. 3rd and 3 inside the Falcons 20. Falcons have, at that point, no more timeouts. It's like a minute 41, and the Eagles throw the ball. Saquon was wide open. He should have caught the ball, and the game would have been over. It's a brutal drop by him. Brutal drop. That's one as a former player. That has got to be tough for him to sleep tonight. Tough for him to live with, no question. But I would also say 3rd and 3 with that offensive line, with a quarterback that can run it like Hurts, I probably would have leaned towards a Saquon run or a quarterback power, because you still might get the first down, but regardless, you're going to keep the clock moving. That said, the Falcons marched so quick, I'm not sure it would have made a difference. They would have had a minute left, and they went down there in less than a minute, did Cousins. Now, it would have changed the dynamic a little bit, but I thought the Eagles were way soft in their coverage on that last drive. Falcons go down, get an easy touchdown. Then the Eagles, I still thought, had a great chance at a field goal. Hurts gets hit, kind of forces the ball to Devontae Smith, interception, huge win, like massive for the Atlanta Falcons. Congratulations to them. Obviously, they absolutely needed it. I needed a Labatt Blue Light after the game, so I had one right before Jack and I started recording. You should drink Labatt Blue Lights with friends and family as opposed to by yourself after the game because you're mad. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Drink Labatt USA whenever you want to. It's delicious beer from Buffalo, New York. Speaking of Labatt, it has nothing to do with Mint Mobile other than Ryan Reynolds owns Mint Mobile, or at least started it. He's from Canada. Friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. So say bye-bye. I feel like I can hear Ryan Reynolds saying bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans and switch to Mint Mobile. He makes a really good point. Why do so many people pay so much money for wireless? To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/RTFP. That's mintmobile.com/RTFP. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/RTFP. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, Ross, coming in at 32nd is the Carolina Panthers.
Yep, and they benched Bryce Young, which is a wowza for Andy Dalton. Probably talk more about that the next couple days, including with Greg Cosell. He looked like, watching him, that he was sort of mentally broken. And I think that the Panthers coaching staff saw that as well. And that's why they made this move.
31st is the New York Giants.
Yeah, just a horrible loss for them, right? I mean, Neighbors has a big game, but then drops the 4th down late. Kind of Saquon-esque, if you will. But the whole kicker situation, I'm assuming Brian Daboll was assured that Graham Gano would be healthy. So I don't know if that's a special teams coordinator or the athletic trainers or Gano himself, but I can assure you Daboll is not happy at all about what happened there with the kicking situation because the Giants should have won that game.
30th is the Denver Broncos.
A lot of growing pains for Bo Nix. A lot of growing pains. We'll see if he can learn some lessons from some of these horrible interceptions that have really cost the Broncos a chance to win games that were otherwise pretty competitive.
29th is the Tennessee Titans.
Said this on Monday's show, Jack. I mean, back-to-back block punts, back-to-back horrific Will Levis turnovers. Titans could very easily be 2-0. NFL's just crazy, man, how close these games are. You can't have block punts, bro. You can't, I think there's been 2 block punts this season, both by the against the Titans. I don't know who their special teams coordinator is, but he's not going to be that guy for long if anything else bad happens on teams.
28th is the Indianapolis Colts.
This is surprising. I had the Colts 22 to start the year, but they lose at home to the Texans. That's not that bad. But you get run over by the Jordan Loveless Packers. Can't happen, Colts.
27th is the Los Angeles Rams.
Wow, if we had the opposite of the West Shore upgrade, Jack, it would be the Rams. They're the anti-West Shore downgrade. They went down 16 spots. Not only did they get annihilated by the Cardinals, but now Cooper Kupp's hurt, going to miss extended time. Feel like the Rams season could be ending before it even starts.
Before we get to the next team, to answer your question, Titan special team coordinator is actually a guy you might remember, Colt Anderson, former Eagles safety.
Oh, yep.
And 26th is the Washington Commanders.
They got to win. I don't know if I feel that much differently about them. They stayed at 26 for the second week in a row. They just played a team that was worse than the Bucs team they played last week.
25th is the Chicago Bears.
Their week 1 win was, let's just call it, fortunate. This game was not so much. Their defense gives them a chance in these games. I mean, if their offense could just do something, sand, foam, something, they'd be okay. You know what that's from, Jack, that reference?
Sand, foam, something. It's not coming to mind right now.
From Old School. Vince Vaughn. I forget what kind of party they had, but he's like, yeah, sand, foam, something. And now I'm forgetting what they actually had for the party.
Was that when they're like, I have a good sand guy or something?
I can't remember.
24th is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Trevor Lawrence says they suck right now. I'm not going to go that far, Trevor, but obviously a couple of really tough losses. I mean, if they don't get that ball punched out against the Dolphins, they win that game, and we feel differently about them. And they went against a very good Browns defense. Give them credit.
24th, or no, we just said Jaguars. 23rd, Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders. Hey, don't look now, but Bowers is a star. The defense played much better. Minshew is completing a high percentage of his passes. That's the Raiders. My guy Antonio Pierce, huge win. Let's see if he can get. I think they play the Panthers this week. No one's more upset that Bryce Young got benched than the Las Vegas Raiders. They wanted Bryce Young. They didn't want Andy Dalton.
22nd is the New England Patriots.
They're better than I thought they'd be. They're certainly better than Steve Fezzik on the Even Money podcast thought they'd be. They have a formula to be and remain competitive. Kudos to them.
21st, Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. They signed Tyler Snoop Huntley off the Ravens practice squad, really because they need a second quarterback, right? They could have brought Mike White back, who was with them for the last year and a half, I think, or at least this offseason. It's interesting that they didn't bring Mike White back, in my opinion. Instead, they bring someone that doesn't know the system at all. I know what I know, which is that the best gift for anyone that has someone ages 4 to 8 in their life, it's futurefans.com, and it's using code Ross. It's only $49.99, and then you get 10% off if you use that code Ross. I love the sport of football. I want as many other people to love it as much as I do. So I'm not even giving you guys a choice. If you have a child, grandchild, niece, nephew between ages 4 to 8, you owe it to America. You owe it to the sport of football to go to futurefans.com, use the code Ross, and unlock a lifetime of memories with a child in your life starting now. Futurefans.com, code Ross. And the thing I love about it, then they'll be fans with you forever. Someday they'll be 21 and you guys will be grabbing a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and heading to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Just drink those responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol volume, but the Smirnoff Company, New York. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Team you mentioned earlier, 20, the Atlanta Falcons.
Just a huge win. That could be a season-altering win. Although their division's looking a lot tougher than I thought it would be. Bucks 2-0 with a good win on the road. Saints 2-0 with a good win on the road. I don't know.
19th is the New York Jets.
Jermaine Johnson done for the year with a torn Achilles. That's tough. They need to figure out how to get it done with Hassan Reddick. Or maybe they should swap Bryce Huff and Hassan Reddick again with the Eagles, because Bryce Huff not really doing very much for the Eagles through 2 games.
18th is the Cincinnati Bengals.
So the Bengals only dropped a couple spots. You know why? Because they outplayed the number 1 team in my rankings. But they still lost because they still made critical errors at moments when they should have made critically positive plays. And so they are 18th.
17th is the Baltimore Ravens.
I saw this somewhere where they said, who do you feel better about, the Ravens or the Bengals? I definitely feel better about the Bengals. I mean, the Ravens lost to the Raiders at home, and they got worse from week 1 to week 2. The Bengals lost the Chiefs on the road and got much better, I thought, between weeks 1 and week 2.
They complete the AFC North trifecta. The Browns, they are 16th.
So they can win this way. They still have a top 5 defense. If Watson just doesn't turn it over and just makes some plays, if he's just a top 25 quarterback and not a bottom 7 quarterback, the Browns can be a competent team.
15th is the Green Bay Packers.
It's tough to know where to slot them in without Jordan Love. I mean, look, I always judge these teams based on where they are right now, right? And I don't know, with Malik Willis, they won a game against the Colts. Maybe they could be lower. Maybe they should be higher. I don't know. I think 15 is about right for them.
14th is the Seattle Seahawks.
So I'm not sure that the Seahawks are good, right? I mean, they beat 2 of my worst 5 teams or so. The Broncos are 30. I guess I have the Patriots at 22. But the Seahawks have had close games against 2 teams that aren't very good, but they've gotten the wins. And maybe most importantly, Geno Smith really looks good. He does.
13th, Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys? You know, they looked awesome week 1 against the Browns. They looked horrible week 2 against the Saints. Kind of hard to know exactly where they slot in. I think 13's probably about right for them. They started the year at 12, but they got kind of undressed by the Saints in that one. It's hard to get that out of your mind.
12th is the Arizona Cardinals.
I think they're pretty good, man. I mean, they're a bunch of no-names on defense for the most part, but they do a good job. Nick Rawless and Jonathan Gannon are able to scheme enough things up on defense. And then offensively, look out. Because James Conner's good, Trey McBride's good. Kyler's playing at a really high level. And if Marvin Harrison Jr. can be this productive, then they could, I mean, they're going to have a top 10 offense, it seems like.
11th, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Unbelievable. I tweeted this, Jack, on Sunday at Ross Tucker NFL. It just feels like the Steelers play the same game every week, no matter who their quarterback's been over the last, however, like Duck Hodges, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, 50-year-old Big Ben, Justin Fields. It's like 13-10 every week, and they win more than they lose.
Entering the top 10 with the Detroit Lions at 10.
Something's not quite right with Jared Goff and the Lions. I don't know. I don't think he's injured, but he has not played as well through the first two games as he did last year, or really the last year and a half. I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Ninth is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Go, Chargers, go. San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Chargers. Hey, if Quentin Johnson starts catching touchdown passes, the way they're running the rock, they're playing better defense. How many points have they given up? 13 points or something like that in 2 games? I mean, Harbaugh can flat out coach, man. Give him credit.
Eighth is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Baker's boys. I tweeted this today at Ross Tucker NFL, Jack. Maybe Dave Canales wasn't the only reason why Baker Mayfield played well last year. Baker Mayfield's off to a hot start. Love the energy and passion he brings to the sport, to the team. You guys know that's kind of how I am. I like people that love it that much.
Seventh is the San Francisco 49ers.
Now Deebo Samuel's going to be out for a couple weeks. Some of these teams are just brutally beat up already, including the Niners.
Sixth, Philadelphia Eagles.
Talked about them. I mean, they still have a pretty darn good team. They just kind of blew it. They choked at the end of the game, unfortunately for them and their fans. I'm not going to downgrade them that much. I still think they're a pretty darn good team, but that was a tough one to lose that might come back to haunt them.
Fifth is the Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. Listen, they've won by 2 scores, both games, including one was on the road, one was against the Niners. I'm believing what I'm seeing from these teams after a couple weeks now.
Fourth is we've got the Houston Texans.
Yep, same thing. 2 wins. They look legit on defense. We know what they've got on offense. The Texans and C.J. Stroud in particular are real, and they're spectacular.
Third is the Buffalo Bills.
Undefeated and utterly dominant in Miami. They beat a Cardinals team I think is pretty good week 1, the game I called for CBS. Now they go to Miami and totally, even without some of these guys, Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard, they still destroy the Dolphins. Bills aren't going anywhere.
Just like everybody expected at second, the New Orleans Saints.
This is nuts. This is the second straight week that the New Orleans Saints made the biggest jump in my power rankings. Last week it was the 20s to the teens. Now it's like the high teens to the number 2 team. I go by what I'm seeing right now. The defense is balling out. The O-line's playing well. Kamara found the fountain of youth. Derek Carr looks incredible. I have the Saints right now as the second best team in football, and arguably, I could have even put them first. They have been that good. And because of that, they're my biggest upgrade this week. Upgrade your bathroom or entry door with West Shore Home. This is a listener, by the way. It's his business, which is very cool. I love supporting listener-owned businesses, especially when I've gotten 2 new bathrooms and a door. Get free installation for 48 months with 0% interest, plus an extra $500 off when you visit westshorehome.com/Ross. If you've heard of the company, go to westshorehome.com/Ross. Even if you haven't, you can't get that extra $500 off anywhere else.
Ross's number 1 team, which is totally meaningless, but it's fun and will get many of you incredibly annoyed, is...
And first is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I was tempted to put the Saints 1. I really was. I mean, it's not like the Chiefs have been that great. They've kind of been fortunate to win both of those games in close fashion. But listen, they're the champs. They're not only the champs, they're the back-to-back champs. I'm keeping them at 1 until they lose a game, I think. And I think that is very fair. Very fair, by the way. Looks like we're going to have Walt Anderson on Wednesday's show, NFL Senior VP of Officiating. Tweet me or email me whatever questions you want me to ask him at Ross Tucker NFL or Ross at RossTucker.com. Huge Even Money podcast today. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. A lot of people have anniversaries in September and October. There is no better anniversary gift than getting your significant other a story all about them or your relationship. myfrontpagestory.com, backofficeschedule.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.